All right, folks, education advocates in Baltimore are demanding the city school CEO, Dr. Sonja Santelises, resign due to rising crime, poor education, and failed leadership. Project Baltimore's investigative efforts discovered that 41% of high school students earn a GPA of 1.0 or below. Advocates believe the education system has neglected the students and mismanaged funds. In one case, Tiffany France's son, a senior in Baltimore City Schools, earned a 0.13 GPA. No, not a 1.3, a 0.13 GPA. Now the 19-year-old is going to begin high school over as a freshman. The senior missed hundreds of days of school and failed nearly all of his classes, yet he was promoted every year and was ranked somehow 62 out of 120 students. Someone has to explain that. Joining us right now is Andre Riley, Communications Director at Baltimore City Public Schools. Andre, how you doing?
Hello, Roland. I cannot hear you.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
I can, Roland. It's great to see you this evening. I missed most of the lead-in, but again, I'm happy to be here.
All right, glad to have you here. First and foremost, how does this happen? How does a student have a 0.13 grade point average, get to their senior year, and then is sent back to the 9th grade? How?
Well, Roland, that doesn't happen. What happened and what was reported on, there's some contextual matters that I need the public to understand. First of all, that student was not a senior. He had only earned enough credits to be a freshman. Therefore, his GPA was being compared with students that just started their educational careers, who had not yet earned even a credit yet. So what's happening now is you're taking a student that is repeating a course who has a GPA, and you're comparing him with students that don't have a GPA.
So you're saying that he was not an actual senior?
Pardon?
So you're saying he was not an actual senior?
No, sir. Okay,
so he's 19. So the last 4 years, where has he been? Has he been in middle school? Where has he been in high school? Has he been repeating the same grade every single year?
Now, I want to be careful, Roland, because again, we're talking about a student's private educational record. And by law, we can't disclose the specifics of any child's education. That's personal information. Other folks may choose to discuss that in a public forum, but we choose not to do that.
Okay,
so I don't want to go into why his status. That wouldn't be fair to him.
Okay, so they put out, the story's been put out, the family has actually spoken as well, and so what's actually happening here then? So has he been in high school or was he in middle school?
The student was in high school the entire time.
So he's been in high school for the last 4 years?
Yes, sir.
And he's never advanced out of his freshman year?
To advance from any grade level, you have to earn a minimum level of credits, which means you have to pass courses. If you've not been passing those courses, or if you, let's say, have poor attendance, then you can't earn credits to become a sophomore, a junior, or a senior. It's really the same as college.
What was his family notified? Were they ever letters sent, phone calls made? Because the mother claims she did not know that her son had been failing for the last 4 years.
Yes, this has been a point of contention in the story, Roland. I'll just speak from our perspective, obviously. When any student misses any time at school, even 1 day of courses, you get an automated phone call. We also do home visits, we do emails, we do text, we do everything we can based on the information that we have for a given student. So if we do not have their proper contact information, perhaps they've moved, they haven't updated us, there can be many reasons why.
But do you have record keeping? So let's deal with each one. Was his mother properly contacted via text message, phone call, and home visits, and do you have that documented?
We have records of those, yes, of any student that we contact.
So you have records that indicate that the mother was contacted either via text, via phone, or a home visit. So what you're suggesting is the mother telling this news organization that she had no idea her son was failing. You're saying that's not true.
What we're saying in city schools is we have records that we reached out to that family and we did our best to communicate the status of that student.
For the last 4 years?
Yes.
Okay. So when you say, again, that there were home visits, how many home visits over the last 4 years? How many phone calls? How many text messages?
Again, Roland, I do not want to dive into the personal records of this student right now.
But that's actually not a classroom record of a student. I'm just speaking to how do you say you have the evidence, and so if you say our records show that we contacted the mother 85 times over a 4-year period, that puts into context, I believe, for the public who saw the original story where the impression was given that her child was passed. She had no idea. He was just going through, and now she thought he was going to be graduating, and now he's back in the 9th grade.
I understand your point, Roland, and I'm not saying that it's incorrect, but I also say we have in respect to the student's private educational records, our perspective is that's not information we can release.
So was it less than 50 or was it more than 50?
Again, I don't want to dig into that, but I know we contacted that student's family multiple times.
Multiple times. And when you say multiple times, is that more than 10 a year or 10 total in 4 years?
I do not have 4 years worth of records. I know in the period of which we referenced with the student that we conducted home visits, phone calls, and we sent letters to the student and had contact with the mother. That's what I'm saying.
And so you're saying the district had face-to-face contact with this mother prior to this story coming out, detailing the academic issues facing her son?
Yes, sir.
What is happening now? Obviously, the story has come out. Folks ran with it. They're calling for the firing of the CEO. And so what's the next step for Baltimore Public Schools?
The next step for Baltimore City Public Schools is to find better ways to connect with our families. Again, we know one of the biggest issues we're having, Roland, is reaching folks at the proper phone number and the proper address. That's a challenge for any urban school district, especially in an environment such as Baltimore.
So people move a lot. Got it. So what is your process then? So right now, when it comes to reaching their parents, what is your actual process? Do you require what? The student has to fill it out? So what do you, I mean, how do you verify?
Our challenge right now, the process is we work to inform our families that we need you to update your contact information. It's a two-way street. So we have to develop trust with them, and we have to develop their confidence so they feel comfortable sharing that information with us.
No. What I'm asking is, what is your current process? What is it? Do you do it at the beginning of the year? Do you do it monthly? Do you do it once a semester? What is your process to ensure that you have updated information on that particular parent of every child? What's your system?
Our system is at the beginning of every year, Roland, we reach out to our families and we advise them to update their contact information. That's the same as any other school district, well, most school districts in the country. We give you the process of how to do it. We help you to log in to our campus portal if you don't know how to do that. And we meet you at various events and things that we host throughout the summer where we seek to gather that information from our parents.
But that's the summer. Okay, follow me here. This is what I'm talking about. School year starts when? September or August?
No, our school year starts on August 30th of this school.
August 30th. First day of school, then do you send anything physically home with the student and say, please return this filled out by your family member so we have their information? How many times does that happen between August and June?
That happens one time at the beginning of the year as part of our family outreach, with the exception of last year where we were mostly virtual.
Okay. here's the I'm trying to understand. Why is it happening once a year? Why aren't you doing that at the beginning of the fall semester and the beginning of the spring semester? Because if you say people are moving and you're trying to keep up, if you actually have 2 points of contact, at least at the beginning of each one of the sessions, and are you actually handing something to the student? Because you're saying, go to our portal. Look, there's a lot of people who don't hop online. You got folks who actually have flip phones versus smartphones. And so what is so I get you have different events and stuff along those lines, but are you physically handing something to each student saying, this is required, you are required to bring this back with the right information, and then we'll verify what the information is?
Up until last school year, yes, you're trying to delineate between the fall and the summer, but the work of getting that information occurs throughout the summer into the fall.
No. Actually, that's not what I'm doing. Summertime, no kids are in school, correct?
Yes, but that does not mean that we do not have contact with our students.
But the point I'm making is fall is when the kids come back to school, right?
Yes, the first day of school is the day that they're required to be in school. However, we know our families need resources, they need access to information, so we work with them throughout the summer.
No, I get that. Andre, I get that, but follow me here. School starts August 30th. When does the second semester start?
The second semester starts right after the new year.
And what I'm saying, if you're saying, okay, this is what you told me. The problem that we're facing is that in an urban district, people are moving. So what I'm saying is, if you have information at the beginning of the school year, and then you require a second verification at the beginning of the spring semester, they could have moved during that time span. What it sounds to me like is that you're getting information at the beginning of the school year, but you're not getting the second connection until the summer, which is literally 9 months later. So what I'm saying is, doesn't it make sense to get it in August and then get it again in January?
Logically, yes, it does make sense. But the point that I need to emphasize is, even though we have that starting point at the beginning of the year, we reach out to our families throughout the year to issue reminders, to say that we need you to update your information. Here's how you can do it. So I do not want to be left that we just reach out to you at the beginning of the year and we don't talk to you till the next summer. That's incorrect. No, we reach out to you throughout the year, but the core time, the official initial outreach happens at the beginning of the school year.
Okay, so who sees this as a problem of and how do you deal with a 19-year-old man now still in school as a freshman?
We offer alternative learning environments for students that are over age or they're approaching over age, but let's go back just a little bit further. If a student is struggling, our goal is to identify it at the earliest possible opportunity and notify the family. So not just for attendance and you missing days, but if your student's not passing courses, the goal is to have an intervention as soon as possible.
So were there interventions with this student in 4 years?
The challenge, without going too far into the student's record, is we have to be able to make contact with the family to implement some of those interventions. And if we're not able to do that, then it creates a more difficult situation to navigate.
So are you saying, okay, again, all right, so are you saying that young man comes in, he's failing, y'all made the effort to reach his family and you didn't reach anybody?
I'm saying we were not successful in reaching a family.
Okay, now this is what again, the reason I'm asking these questions is because what I don't understand is, I asked you earlier, did you have documentation where you connected with the family and you said yes? Now you're saying you didn't reach the family. Now, does that mean that you connected with his family, but frankly, they didn't follow up with the district? I'm trying to understand, if somebody said, hey, we connected with Reginald and Imelda Martin, that means y'all physically talk to them or talk to them on the phone, and if my mama and daddy never responded back and didn't do anything to help my education out, then that's on my mama and daddy. So what I'm asking, did you actually connect with this young man's mother, present to her his failing, lay out a plan of action to help him, and did his family respond and work with the district to ensure he doesn't fail? Did that happen?
This is the way it happened, but the short answer is yes. We reached out to that student in a variety of ways. We eventually made contact with the family. We laid out, like we did for any other student in that situation, here's where your student, here's where they're at today. Here's the struggles that they're encountering, and here's how we think we can make progress on it. And then we were not, I don't think either party would deem our work successful in getting that student back on track. Roland, my job is I do not want to throw the family under the bus.
No, this is not, no. See, here's the deal. This is not throwing the family under the bus, because I'm about to talk to the family, and I'm going to ask them these very same questions. Because, again, when a story is published and then people run with it, I want to know exactly, what the heck happened. And so, at the end of the day, somebody has to accept ownership for what has happened with this student. It's either, this is not actually complicated. It's either the family did not respond appropriately and frankly bear the brunt of him failing for 4 years, or the school failed. The district failed. I mean,
all right, I'll be very clear. The district reached out to that family through multiple methods, and we eventually made contact with the family. We laid out a course to get that student back on track, and it did not get implemented. We eventually were able to provide a learning environment to the student, but was it was later than it should have been.
So when you say it didn't get implemented, what you're saying is that the school district offered an education opportunity to fix the problem, but it was not acted upon by the family. Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. That's what I need to understand. Andre Raleigh, I appreciate it. Thank you so very much for joining us.
Thank you, Roland. Have a great day.
All right, then. Right now, folks, I want to talk to Pastor Shannon Wright, the France family spokesperson, Dr. Chris Metzler, who's a conservative strategist and author of Divided We Stand, The Search for America's Soul. Okay, so Pastor Shannon, you are representing the France family. Can you answer that very point there that I just asked? What actually happened here?
So we've been speaking with a lot of different families, not just in reference to this case. What Andre just told you was a whole bunch of smoke. The district has failed students, not just this young man's student family, but a whole bunch of families in the city. We've got 41% of the high school students with a D or below. 41%. And you're telling me we're looking at this one case, but the problem is that there are thousands of that same case.
No, I got that. I want to deal with the thousands, but I want to deal with this one. But I need some questions answered. He just said that over a period of 4 years, the district repeatedly reached out to the family, and they were unsuccessful in getting them to work with the district to deal with this young man's education issues. Did that happen?
Not to my knowledge, no.
When you say not to your knowledge, meaning?
There was no proof of papers that were sent home, of outreach that was made.
Okay. Has the mother, first of all, who were they reaching out to? Mother, father, mother, aunt, grandmother, grandfather? What was it, his mother?
The district says that they reached out to his mother.
What does his mother say?
No evidence of that she did not get any communication. She did not hear anything from them until they were at the point of saying that the child was failing, and the district, as in they, didn't know what happened.
Is she saying that they say they actually made direct contact with her? Is she saying they never made direct contact with her face to face?
That's what I'm understanding. That's what I'm being told.
Okay. What I need to understand is, how was she unaware of the education status of her child for 4 years? Did she ever look at a report card? Did she ever check in with teachers? Did she ever make any visits in 4 years to parent-teacher conferences?
That I couldn't tell you. I don't know, honestly. But I will tell you this. Part of the problem that we're having in Baltimore City is that the grades are inflated. So you may not see failing grades because they will not fail the students. Social promotion is real in Baltimore, whether you have missed a little bit of time or a lot of time, because the concern is that the emotional damage that they will cause the student to keep them back and actually try and get them to grade level would be more detrimental. So you're not going to see failing grades. The lowest you will see is a 1.0, which is a D. And if you listen carefully to how they say it, it's a 1.0 or less. They will never put the less down.
Okay, but this is the thing that I'm trying to understand, Shannon and Chris. That again, we're looking at this individual here. I cannot fathom a parent not looking at a report card for 4 years. I can't fathom having no conversation with any teacher or principal or anybody for 4 years. So I actually need. It would be great Shannon and Chris, if we could have the family on, because I think these are questions the mother has to answer. I read the story. She blamed the district for failing her. We kind of need to know what she did.
Mm-hmm. No, I understand that. Dr. Metzler,
Yeah, and I think that's part of what we're looking at as we are investigating the failures here of the city. So we definitely would need to have her come on, because her position is that the school didn't inform her. But as you said, the other part of the question is, what did you ask and when did you ask it? So that's the other piece of what we'll need to be able to do to get the answers to this puzzle.
I want to bring in my panel here. Robert, Monique is gone in Georgia. Robert, do you have a question?
Well, I think my question will be, is there a handbook? Is there a very clear laid out process by which they can ensure that students don't fall through the system? Is there a way to track individuals, ensure that they are going to class, that they are getting the proper information? And are there apparatuses in place to basically catch them before they fall outside the safety net? And if those do not exist, or if those do not exist, what's the process going to be for putting those in place?
Okay, so there is a manual that the district discusses that they use, but it's not being implemented. That's part of the problem. In their rescue, recovery, getting back to open schools program, it was a 52-page report. The first 23 pages of that report are what we did, who we talked to, what they told us, what we think they meant. On page 24 of that report is where they start with what we know we need to have. And the problem I have with that is everything that's on the 24th page of your document is things that it doesn't take a rocket scientist to figure out. We need more parental involvement. We need more access points for students to be able to get resources. All of the things that any parent paying attention would tell you after the end of the first semester, this is what I'm not seeing, this is what I'm missing. It took them 24 pages of their document to get to. And then when you look at the rest of the plan, which describes what they feel they need, there is not one clear, measurable metrics outcome in that 52-page recovery, how we're going to do better plan.
Georgia.
And
I'm sorry, Robert, go ahead.
Well, my follow-up question will be, well, what's the community doing, what are parents doing to try to remedy that? Because it does take two partners. It does take the governmental side of it, the district side of it, but also the community side to enforce those things, to ensure that they're not falling through the cracks, and ensuring that those things are actually being implemented.
Well, yeah, and earlier today, one of the things that we announced is that there's a team of lawyers who will, in fact, bring a lawsuit against the City of Baltimore public school system for essentially educational malpractice. That, of course, is from the system standpoint, and we are absolutely getting the parents involved as well. Look, if you look at Baltimore City, if you look at the school system, if you look at the superintendent, and I think the spokesperson before we came on gave you a good example, and that is it is run by a bureaucracy that no one seems to know what's going on or how it's done. Discovery, of course, will tell us a lot of that.
Dr. Metzler said that nicely. What you heard was a bunch of smoke and mirrors. They had the district had a program for parents to be able to, quote, understand their plan and how they intended to get the buildings open safely and to get the children back in school with minimal risk. Now, the interesting thing was they had two options for parents to participate. You could participate on Zoom, which is in Spanish only, or you could look on Facebook and perhaps write a comment. Now, the parents were supposed to have coordinators on that were actually picking up the comments from the parents and answering them. The district assistance was on the Zoom link that was in Spanish only. There was no English interpretation or assistance for parents that had questions, and parents typed them in the chat. I know that because I was actually on that town hall. Then I made a list of every single parent. There were 796 comments. They answered 3 questions. 3.
Georgia.
Yeah, I as a parent myself, I do believe that there's accountability on both sides here from a parent standpoint of checking in and following up and seeing how your student is doing periodically so that you don't get 4 years into your high school career and realize that they're not going to graduate, right? But on the other side here, this one case is not an outlier. This is within a system where 41% of students are failing. And so I'm curious to hear from you guys, what are you hearing from the other families who are within this system who also have students who are failing? Like, what are their circumstances and what is the situation contributing to how this education system in a whole is failing the city?
Well, from the parents, we're hearing much of the same story. We're also hearing, and we had some parents at the press conference earlier today who talked about all of the outreach that they have done to the city, and the city simply refuses to answer them or to give them anything that they could work with. So what we're hearing from the parents is, look, I am involved. I want to be involved, but I am put up against a bureaucratic wall in which no one knows what the answer is. No one knows from who to ask the questions to, and the answers are not given. So this is not an isolated, this is a systemic problem in the city of Baltimore. You have a superintendent who makes $20,000 a year, less than the superintendent of schools in New York City. And you have a failing system. She was given a raise because the system said, we believe she'd be recruited elsewhere. The average grade point average of a student in Baltimore City is a D. This is systemic. And so that's part of what we're going to be exploring. And Discovery will tell us that. We also will have a number of parents who will tell their story as well and what their experiences are. This is not an isolated incident.
Unfortunately, it really isn't. And you got folks that came through the Baltimore City school system that are now parents and raising their children in public schools. And some of them even say that they didn't realize how much they didn't know and didn't learn until they saw it reflected from their own children in the Baltimore City schools. This has been going on for a minute.
All right, then. Well, look, we certainly would love to talk to the mother of this young man to get more answers, and hopefully we'll also talk further with folks in the Baltimore school system about what their plans to deal with the 41% of those students with a 1.0 grade point average. Chris Metzler, Pastor Shannon Wright, we appreciate it. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Back to our Roland Mark Unfiltered video in just one moment.
Football bands and one of the best fan experiences in the country. The Cricket BX SWAC Challenge kickoff returns to Atlanta on August 28th along with special guests. College Game Day. Then Alcorn State takes on North Carolina Central with conference bragging rights on the line. Center Park Stadium is the place to be on August 28th. Come tailgate all day before enjoying a primetime matchup on the gridiron. You don't want to miss this. Check out MEACSWACchallenge.com for more information.
And of course, we'll be live in Atlanta August 27th and 28th, supporting the SWAC MEAC Challenge in partnership with Coca-Cola. Friday, we'll broadcast the show from the Atlanta Braves Baseball Stadium, interviewing officials with the SWAC and the MEAC, plus the university presidents. On Saturday, August 28th, we'll be broadcasting live from the Coca-Cola Fan Zone outside of the stadium. And then, of course, we'll be live streaming the halftime show and the performance after the game. So check out Roland Martin Unfiltered from the SWAC MEAC Challenge in Atlanta. And don't forget, the game airs at 7 p.m. Eastern on ESPN on Saturday, August 28th.